My name is Rachel. I am 34 years old. I am the mother of 3 daughters. Their names are Hannah, Lucy, and Emma. They are my whole world. I love them more than anything. But life is not easy. It has never been easy. When I was a little girl, my mother died. I was only 9 years old. After that, I lived with my grandmother. She was kind, but she was also very old. She passed away when I was 16. I met my husband when I was 19. He was funny and sweet in the beginning. We got married quickly. At 20, I had my first daughter, Hannah. Then came Lucy. Then little Emma. But when Emma was only a baby, he left us. No note. No phone call. He just disappeared. He never sent money. He never asked about his daughters. It was like we never existed. Since then, I have been alone. I do not have family. I do not have friends who can help. I live in a small apartment. The building is old. The walls are thin. The heater is weak. Every month I pay rent. Every month I worry. I do not have a good job. I do not have a college degree. I do not have many choices, but I am strong. I never give up. I work as a taxi driver, but I do not own a car. Each month, I rent a car to drive. It is expensive. After paying for the car and gas, I have little money left, but I still drive. Every day, every night. Some people are kind. Some people are not. Some people smile and say thank you. Some people shout. Some people don't pay. Some leave trash in the back seat. But I do not stop, because I must earn money. I need to buy food. I need to buy clothes for my girls. I need to pay rent. I need to keep the lights on. Sometimes I drive until midnight. Sometimes I drive while I am sick. Sometimes I drive when I want to cry. When I come home, my girls are already asleep. I sit beside them. I look at their faces. They are so peaceful. They are so beautiful. I kiss their foreheads. I whisper, I love you. Every night I promise myself, one day life will be better. One day my girls will smile more. One day we will have more than just enough. But one evening, something terrible happened. It was very cold. The sky was dark. The wind was strong. The rain was heavy. I picked up my daughters from school. Hannah, my oldest, sat in the front. Lucy and Emma sat in the back. Mom, I'm cold, little Emma said. She was only 5. Her voice was soft and tired. I know, sweetie, I said. We'll be home soon. I turned on the heater, but the car stayed cold. The roads were quiet. There were no other cars. The lights were dim. The road was wet and icy. I held the steering wheel tight. My hands were shaking. My heart was beating fast. Then, a flash of light. A loud noise. A terrible crash. Pain. Darkness. I woke up to a white ceiling. I heard a beeping sound. I smelled medicine. I was in a hospital. I tried to move, but my body hurt. I tried to speak, but my throat was dry. Then I remembered. My daughters. Where were they? I whispered, Hannah, Lucy, Emma. A nurse came to me. She had kind eyes. Don't move too much, she said. You were in an accident. My daughters, I whispered. Where are my daughters? She touched my hand. They are here. They are safe. Tears filled my eyes. I wanted to see them. A few minutes later, the door opened. 3 small girls ran into the room. Mama, they cried. They hugged me. They kissed me. I cried. I held them tight. The doctor came in. He looked serious. You have a broken leg, he said. You need surgery. You need time to rest. But I can't rest, I said. I have to work. I have to pay rent. The doctor looked sad. "You need to heal first." Then I remembered something worse. The car. I rented the car. Now it was destroyed. But that was not the worst part. I hit a very expensive car. The owner wanted $20,000. I had nothing. No savings. No help. I covered my face. I cried. My daughters held me. They cried too. I was broken. I felt small. I had no hope. The next day, something happened. Something I never expected. A nurse came into the room. She had a newspaper in her hand. There was a picture of me and my daughters. "Your story is online," she said. "People are reading it." "What story?" I asked. "Someone shared what happened to you. Many people are talking about it. They say you are brave. They want to help." I didn't understand. Why would strangers help me? But soon, people started sending money. Not a lot, but it helped. We had warm food. We had clean clothes. We paid the rent for that month. One night, I got a phone call. A deep voice spoke. "I saw your story," he said. "I want to help you." "Who are you?" I asked. "You will see soon," he said. 2 days later, a group of people came to the hospital. They brought flowers. They brought toys. They brought warm clothes for my girls. Then a young man walked in. He had kind eyes. He looked at me and smiled. "You don't know me," he said, "but I know you." I was confused. "Why do you want to help me?" He smiled. "Because I can." I started crying. "I don't know what to say." He touched my hand. "You don't have to say anything." The young man sat beside my hospital bed. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Your story touched my heart." I read it, and I could not forget it. I talked to my team. "We want to help you." I looked at my daughters. They were sitting in the corner of the room, playing with their new toys. They were smiling. They looked warm, clean, and safe. For the first time in a long time, they looked like normal children. I turned back to the man. "Why me?" I asked. "There are many people like me." He nodded. "Yes. But I saw something in your eyes. You didn't ask for anything. You didn't beg. You just fought every day to take care of your girls. That kind of strength. It should be supported." I didn't know what to say. I had always worked hard. I had cried alone many nights. I had suffered in silence. I never thought someone would notice. That day they paid my hospital bill, every cent. I didn't owe anything anymore. I didn't need to worry about the surgery or the medicine. I could focus on healing. But that was only the beginning. 2 weeks later, I left the hospital. My leg was still healing, so I walked slowly with a cane. The young man and his team helped me every step of the way. They picked us up in a warm car. The girls were excited. They thought we were going back to our small apartment, but we did not go there. Instead, we drove into a different part of the city, a place I had never been. The streets were clean. The houses were big. There were trees with lights on them. There were flowers in the gardens. We stopped in front of a beautiful house. It had a red door and white windows. The garden was full of yellow flowers. There was a small bench near the door and a big swing in the backyard. "Where are we?" I asked. The young man smiled. "This is your new home." I stared at him. I didn't understand. "For a few months we have been working quietly," he said. "Many people online donated money. My team added more, and now this house belongs to you." I couldn't breathe. My knees felt weak. "For me?" I whispered. Yes. No rent. No debt. This house is yours. I dropped to my knees and cried. My daughters ran to me. They hugged me. We cried together. Is this real? Hannah asked. Yes, I said. This is real. We walked inside. The rooms were warm and bright. There were beds for each of the girls, soft blankets, toys, books. In the kitchen, there was fresh food, bread, fruits, milk, even chocolate. The bathroom had clean towels and a big tub. The living room had a couch, a rug, and a small TV. On the wall, someone had placed a photo of me and the girls, taken at the hospital when we were all together again. I didn't know how to say thank you. Words were not enough. That night, we slept in our new home. I tucked each of my daughters into their own beds. I kissed their foreheads. I love you, I whispered. They smiled in their sleep. For the first time in years, I didn't worry. I didn't cry. I didn't feel cold or afraid. I felt safe. I felt loved. The next morning, the young man came back. We sat in the kitchen. He had coffee. I had tea. The girls played in the backyard. He looked at me and asked, Rachel, what is your biggest dream? I looked at him, surprised. No one had asked me that in a long time. I wiped a tear from my cheek. I want to open a small supermarket, I said. A place with fresh food, good bread. A place where people feel welcome. He smiled. Then let's make it happen. And he did. 2 months later, we opened the store. It was not big, but it was perfect. It had fruits, vegetables, bread, rice, beans, milk, cheese, and more. We even had a little space for coffee and tea. The people in the neighborhood were kind. They came to buy food. They came to say hello. Some came just to smile and chat. I worked at the counter. Sometimes Lucy helped me stack the bread. Hannah swept the floor. Emma gave small candies to children. We worked together. We laughed together. The store gave me something I had never had before, freedom. I was no longer a tired taxi driver with no car. I was no longer a mother who cried at night. I was no longer broken. I was a businesswoman, a proud mother, a woman who had hope. The young man visited often. His name was Daniel, I learned. He told me he had lost his own mother when he was young. He remembered the pain. He remembered the silence in the house. He never forgot it. That's why he helped people like me. One evening, I asked him, "Why didn't you tell me all this before?" He smiled. "Because this story is not about me. It's about you. You are the hero." His words touched me deeply. Months passed. The girls grew. They went to school every day. They made friends. They smiled more. Emma drew pictures of our house. Lucy wrote stories about our store. Hannah helped me with the money and numbers. We were not rich, but we had enough. We had peace. We had joy. One day, I found an old photo in a box. It was from the time before the accident. I looked at my face. I looked tired. I looked worried. Then I looked in the mirror. My face had changed. I looked strong. I looked happy. Sometimes I still wake up at night. I check on my daughters. I touch their hands. I kiss their foreheads. I whisper, "I love you." I remember all the nights I cried in silence, all the days I drove through cold rain, all the moments I wanted to give up, but I didn't. Because deep in my heart, I always believed that something better would come, and it did. Now, every morning, I open the door of my store. I turn on the lights. I welcome the customers with a smile. I look outside and see the sun shining on my house. I thank the kind people who helped me. I thank Daniel. I thank the strangers who believed in me. But most of all, I thank my daughters because they gave me a reason to fight. They gave me a reason to keep going. This story is not just mine. It is ours. We started with nothing. Now we have everything that matters: a home, a job, and a happy family. And I truly believe, that even in the darkest times, kindness and hope can change everything. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon. My name is Lily. I live in Chicago. I am 19 years old. I do not have much. I do not have a car or a big house. But I have a dream. I want to make this city clean. Every morning, I walk to the streets. I pick up trash. People watch me. Some laugh. Some turn away. But I don't stop. This is not my job. No one pays me. But I do it. I do it because I care. I do it because no one else will. Chicago is a big city. It is full of people, but it is also full of trash. On every corner, I see paper, bottles, cans, and food boxes. On the sidewalks, I see bags, cups, and gum. I see things people leave behind. Some do it by mistake. Some just don't care. I used to walk past all of it. But one day, I said no more. I could not look away. I had to do something. Even if I was just one girl. I remember that day. It was a cold morning. The sky was gray. I walked to the park near my street. The grass was full of bottles. The bench had old food. The ground was dirty. I saw a small boy trip on a can. He fell and started crying. His mother helped him up. I looked at the can. That was it. I picked it up. I found a bag. I picked up more trash. It felt right. It felt strong. I went home that day with a full bag. My hands were cold, but my heart was warm. From that day, I started to clean. One street, at one block, at one corner. Every day after school, I picked a spot. I walked with my bag. I wore gloves. I picked up trash. At first, people stared. Some asked, "Why are you doing this?" I said, "Because this is my city." Some laughed. "It's not your job," they said. I smiled. "That's okay," I said. "I'll do it anyway." Some gave me a thumbs up. Some gave me nothing. But I never looked back. It was not easy. The trash was everywhere. It smelled bad. Some things were heavy. Some were wet. Once, I picked up a box with old food. It made my eyes water. Another time, I stepped on a sharp can. My foot hurt for days. I cleaned it at home. I put on a bandage. I told myself, "You are okay. Keep going." And I did. Every day, I told myself the same thing. You are one, but one is enough. I made a rule. I would never ask for money. This work was free. This work was mine. I did it because it was right. I took a small cart from home. I tied a bag to it. I wore old jeans and a hoodie. My shoes were cheap. But I walked like I owned the street. I walked with purpose. People saw me. Some said hello. Some gave me water. And one man gave me gloves. He said, "You're doing good, girl." I said, "Thank you, sir." I did not need much. Just a little kindness. One day, I went to a big street in downtown. It was full of shops. The lights were bright. The people were rich. But the trash was still there. I stood on the corner with my bag. I started to clean. Some people stopped to watch. One woman asked, "Who are you with?" I said, "No one, just me." She looked confused. "Why?" she asked. I said, "Because someone has to." She said nothing more, but she gave me a small smile before she walked away. I went to that street every Saturday. It was always dirty. It made me sad, but it also made me strong. I cleaned near the bus stop. I cleaned near the cafe. I cleaned near the theater. I saw all kinds of trash: napkins, masks, pizza boxes, soda cups. I picked them all. People came and went, but I stayed. I was like a shadow. I was always there, with my bag and gloves. At night, I went home tired. My hands hurt. My back hurt. But I never felt weak. I washed my hands. I ate a simple dinner, sometimes just bread and soup. I sat on my bed and looked out the window. I saw the lights of the city, and I smiled. Somewhere out there was a clean street. Because I was there. I lived with my aunt. She was kind. She worked long hours at a factory. She did not say much, but she saw my work. One night she asked, "Why do you do this, Lily?" I said, "Because I want a clean world." She looked at me. Her eyes were soft. "That's a big dream," she said. I said, "Yes, but I'm not afraid." She didn't speak after that. But the next morning, she left a note on the table. "Be careful, and keep going." I put the note in my bag. I still have it. I never told my friends. They did not ask. We were all busy. Some worked at stores. Some stayed home. Some just didn't care. That was okay. I did not need help. But deep inside, I wished for it. I wished someone would walk beside me. Just once. Just to see how it feels. To clean a street. To make it better. To give without getting. One week the city had heavy rain. The streets were full of water. Trash floated in the puddles. I put on a raincoat. I walked anyway. The water went into my shoes. My fingers were red from the cold. But I kept going. I cleaned under a bench. I cleaned near a drain. I found an old doll. It was wet and broken, but I cleaned it and left it on a clean bench. Maybe a child would find it. Maybe it would make someone smile. After a few months, people began to notice. A man in a green vest stopped me. He worked for the city. He said, "I see you every week." I said, "Yes, I come to clean." He said, "Do you work for the city?" I said, "No, just myself." He looked surprised. "Why do you do it?" he asked. I said, "Because it's my street too." He smiled. "Keep going," he said. "You're doing good work." I said, "Thank you, sir." That day, I felt proud. One afternoon, I found a letter on the bench. It was in a plastic bag. The paper was clean. It said, "Thank you, girl with the trash bag. You are a light in this dark city." I looked around. No one was there. I folded the paper and put it in my pocket. I read it every night for a week. It made me feel strong. I was not alone. Someone saw me. Someone cared. But not every day was good. One day, a boy threw trash right in front of me. I looked at him. He laughed and ran. I picked up the trash. My hands shook. I was angry, but I did not shout. I took a deep breath. I said to myself, "It's okay. Keep going. That is my rule. No matter what. Keep going. Chicago is still not clean. The work is never done. But I am still here. I still walk. I still pick up trash. I still dream. One bag at a time. One street at a time. I am just a girl, but I have a big dream, and I will not stop. Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. Some people said I was wasting my time. "The city is too big," they said. "You cannot fix it alone." But I did not try to fix the whole city. I just wanted to fix one small part, one block, one street. That was enough for me. I woke up early. I packed a sandwich and water. I took my bag and gloves. I walked out the door with hope in my heart. One morning, I went to a new place. It was under the train bridge. The ground was full of trash. I saw plastic bags stuck on the fence. I saw broken glass and food boxes. It smelled bad, but I stayed. I worked slow. I picked up one piece at a time. My back hurt. My hands were tired, but I kept going. I saw two boys watching me from a bench. They laughed. One threw a candy wrapper on the ground. I looked at them. I said nothing. I just picked it up. After some time, they left. I was alone again. But I was used to that. I worked better in silence. I did not need music. I just needed the sound of the wind and the city. After an hour, I looked at the street. It was clean. The fence was clear. The sidewalk was safe. I stood and took a breath. That was a good feeling. Not a big change. But still, it mattered. Later that day, I went to a small bakery. I had $10. I bought a hot tea and a bun. I sat outside and watched the people walk. Some looked happy. Some looked tired. Some walked fast and never looked up. I was like that before. I never saw the trash. I never saw the small things. But now I saw everything. Every cup. Every straw. Every bottle. I saw what others missed. I saw a girl drop a napkin. She did not see it. She kept walking. I got up and picked it up. A man near me smiled. "You care," he said. I said, "Yes, I do." He asked, "Do you work for someone?" I said, "No. Just for the earth." He nodded. He said, "The earth needs more people like you." That made me happy. Just a few words, but they stayed with me. Sometimes I felt tired. Sometimes I asked myself, does it even help? The trash came back the next day. The streets got dirty again. But I remembered a tree. It grows slow. It takes time. My dream was like that tree. Small, but strong. I just had to wait. I had to keep going. One evening, I walked past a school. I saw kids play in the yard. The street near the school was full of candy wrappers. I cleaned it. I cleaned near the gate. I cleaned the sidewalk. A woman came out of the school. She was a teacher. She saw me. She asked, "Are you with a group?" I said, "No, just me." She smiled. "You cleaned this for the kids?" I said, "Yes. I want them to have clean streets." She looked at me for a long time. Then she said, "Come back tomorrow." The next day, I went back. She was waiting. She gave me a small badge. It said, "Volunteer Friend." She said, "The school will let you clean here, and we'll tell the kids about you." I said thank you. That felt big to me. I was just one girl. But now the kids would know. Maybe they would learn. Maybe they would care too. The next week, I cleaned near the school every day. One day, 2 girls walked up to me. They had small gloves and a trash bag. "Can we help?" they asked. I smiled. "Yes," I said. We cleaned together. They asked me why I did this. I said, "Because I love this city, and I want it to be clean." They nodded. One said, "I want to help every week." That was the best thing I heard all month. People started to notice more. A man in a suit gave me $5. I said, "Thank you, but I don't take money." He looked confused. "Why not?" I said, "This is my gift." He smiled and walked away. Another woman gave me an extra trash bag. "Use this next time," she said. "It's stronger." I thanked her. I liked those small gifts. Not money, just help. Still, there were hard days. One day, it rained all morning. The wind was strong. I wore 2 coats, but I still felt cold. I cleaned near a store. The ground was wet. I slipped once. I fell on my side. My leg hurt. I sat on the curb. For a moment, I wanted to cry. I wanted to go home. But I looked at the ground. It was still dirty. I stood up. I kept going. 1 step, 1 bag. That was my way. Another day, I saw a man shout at me. He said I made him look bad. "You clean here to make us feel guilty," he said. I did not answer. I just picked up a soda can. He walked away angry, but I stayed. I was not cleaning for him. I was cleaning for the earth, for the kids, for myself. I started to take photos, before and after. Dirty street, then clean street. I posted them on a small board in the school. The kids liked it. One said, "You are the trash hero." I laughed. I liked that. Not a big name, but a good one. One day, I cleaned near the train station. It was very busy. So much trash. I worked for 3 hours. When I stood up, a woman in a yellow coat stopped me. She had a small camera. She said, "I'm from a newspaper. I want to write about you." I said, "I'm not special." She said, "But you do something good. People need to see it." I agreed. I told her my name. I told her why I clean. She took a picture. I did not smile. I wanted the photo to be true. A week later, my aunt showed me the paper. There I was, on the front of the local news, a girl with a trash bag. My name under the photo. The title said, "She cleans what others leave behind." I read the article. It was short, but it said the truth, that I was not paid, that I cared, that I believed small things can make a big change. The next week, 3 more people joined me. One was a teacher. One was a student. One was an old man with a cane. We walked together. We picked up trash. We laughed. We worked. I was not alone anymore. That felt good. That felt strong. Still, I knew it was just the start. The city was still full of trash. Many people still did not care. But I was not sad. I had hope. Hope in a clean street. Hope in small hands. Hope in a better tomorrow. I did not want a prize. I did not want to be famous. I just wanted to walk on a clean street. I wanted the wind to blow and not carry a plastic bag. I wanted the kids to play without stepping on glass. I wanted the earth to breathe, and I believed that was enough. One bag, one street, one girl. Spring came to the city. The trees had leaves again. The sky was blue most days, but the trash was still there. It hid under the bushes. It rolled in the wind. It sat in the corners where no one looked. But I looked. I always looked. My eyes saw what others missed. I was not tired of it. Not yet. I walked to the park near the river. The ground was wet from the rain. I saw bottles near the water. I saw bags stuck in the grass. The bench had food wrappers under it. I took out my gloves. I opened my trash bag. I started to work, one piece at a time. That was always my way. A man sat on a bench and watched me. He was quiet. He drank coffee and did not say much. When I walked past, he said, "You come here a lot." I said, "Yes." He asked, "Why do you do it?" I said, "Because I care." He looked at me for a second, then said, "More people should be like you." I smiled, but I said nothing. At school, one teacher asked me to speak to her class. I said I was not good at speaking. She said, "Just tell them the truth." So I did. I stood in front of 10 kids. My hands shook a little. But I said, "I pick up trash. I do it every day because I want clean streets. I want safe parks. I want kids like you to play and not fall on glass." They were quiet. Then one boy raised his hand. He said, "Can I help you one day?" I smiled and said, "Yes, you can." One Saturday, he came with his sister. They wore small gloves. They had little bags. We cleaned the sidewalk near the school. They were fast. They worked with joy. At the end, they both gave me a hug. That was better than any gift. I went home that night and looked out my window. I saw the street below. It looked cleaner than last year. Not perfect, but better. I saw fewer bags. I saw fewer bottles. I saw more kids playing. I saw hope. The bakery owner left a note for me. It said, "You remind us to care." She gave me a cup of tea. "You help this city," she said, "more than you know." I said thank you. I did not need gifts, but kind words made me feel strong. Some days I still worked alone. Some streets were quiet. Some were loud. Some were safe. Some were not. But I walked all of them. I walked with care, with purpose, with my trash bag. A few people from the city office asked me to speak at a local event. I said yes. I wore clean jeans and a blue shirt. I stood in front of a small group. I said, "This work is not big, but it is real. I do it with my hands, with my time, with my heart. I believe in clean streets. I believe in change, even if it starts with just one girl. That night, I walked home. The wind was soft. The sky was dark, but I felt light inside. I knew I would clean again tomorrow because this is my dream, and I am not tired. Not yet. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon. What would you do if you met someone younger than you, someone with nothing but dreams, and you began to feel love growing inside you? Would you follow your heart or listen to the people around you? This is the story of how I faced that choice. My name is Sophia. I am 47 years old. I live in Madrid, Spain. I am divorced. I do not have a husband or a partner. I live alone in a quiet apartment. My work is my life. I am a fashion designer. I worked for many years and built my career step by step. Now I design clothes for famous people. I earn good money. I travel for shows. Many people know my name. From outside, it looks like I have everything. But inside, I often feel alone. I come home to silence. I make dinner for one. I sleep in a large bed by myself. People see me with perfect hair, new dresses, and a strong walk. But they do not see my empty evenings. They do not see how I sometimes wish for one simple thing. Someone who cares for me, not my money or my designs. One Saturday afternoon, I went to a small art gallery in the city. I liked to look at paintings when I wanted peace. The gallery was quiet. Soft music played in the background. I walked slowly past the paintings. Some showed the sea, some showed mountains, some showed faces full of feelings. Then I saw a man standing in one corner. He was tall, with brown hair, and maybe 29 years old. His clothes were simple. His shoes were old. His hands had paint marks, like he had just finished work. He stood near a small table where his paintings were displayed. I stopped to look at them. His name was written on a card. Mark. His paintings were full of color. One showed a woman sitting alone near a window. Another showed a child running in the rain. I felt something in his art. It was real. It was honest. Mark looked at me. His eyes were gentle, but also shy. "Do you like them?" he asked softly. His Spanish accent was clear, but his voice was quiet. "Yes," I said. "They feel alive." He smiled a little. "Thank you. Not many people stop to look. Most just walk past." I looked at his clothes, his shoes, and his tired hands. I understood he was not rich, but there was light in his eyes. There was hope. He told me he worked as a painter and also as a waiter at night to pay rent. He shared that he dreamed of having a big studio one day. He wanted to paint full-time, but it was hard. I bought one of his small paintings that day. It was a picture of a street with yellow light and shadows. He wrapped it carefully in paper and gave it to me. "I hope you enjoy it," he said. I went home with the painting, but also with a new thought. I kept seeing his eyes, full of hope. The next week, I returned to the gallery. He was there again. We talked more. We shared coffee at a small cafe nearby. His stories were simple but full of life He laughed when he spoke about his childhood in a small town. He told me about painting in the streets, selling pictures for a few coins. I told him about my fashion shows, about Paris, Milan, and New York. Our lives were different, but we listened to each other with care. Soon we began to meet more often. Sometimes I invited him to a cafe. Sometimes we walked in the park. One evening he showed me his tiny room. It was small and old. The walls had cracks, but his room was full of paintings. There were colors everywhere. He showed me one picture he was working on, a woman wearing a red dress, looking at the sky. He said, "I paint people who dream." Before I go further, let me remind you, if you like stories like this, please subscribe, share this video with friends, and comment below. Your support helps me bring more simple English stories for you. Thank you. The more I met Mark, the more I felt different. He was younger than me. He did not have money or a big car. But when I sat with him, I felt light. He made me smile in a way I had not smiled in years. He asked about me, not about my work or my business. When I was with him, I was not Sophia the designer. I was just a woman, listening, laughing, and walking beside a man who cared. But not everyone understood. People around me began to whisper. Some said, "Why is she with such a young man?" Others said, "He only wants her money." At first I tried to ignore them, but words can cut deep. At parties, I saw people look at us with strange eyes. They whispered when we walked away. I pretended not to care, but in truth, I felt pain. One night, I asked him, "Do you hear what people say about us?" Mark looked at me and said, "Yes, I hear. But do you believe them?" His question surprised me. I stayed quiet. Then he took my hand and said, "I do not care about your money, Sophia. I care about you. You believe me, don't you?" I saw his eyes, and I knew the truth. Still, I was afraid. I had been hurt before. My ex-husband left me for another woman many years ago. Since then, I had promised myself not to open my heart again. But with Mark, that promise began to break. He was not like the men I knew. He did not ask for gifts. He only wanted time with me, walks in the park, and coffee in small cups. One evening, as we sat near the river, he looked at me and said, "Sophia, when I paint now, I paint you. You bring me light." His words touched me. For years, I had been called strong, successful, famous, but never light. I turned my head away because tears filled my eyes. He saw them and smiled gently. Our story had only begun, but already I knew something. Mark was not just another person in my life. He was someone who could change it. Someone who made me feel alive again. When Mark told me I brought light into his life, I could not stop thinking about his words. For years, I was strong in my work, strong in front of people, but inside, I felt empty. His words stayed with me. They touched a part of me that was quiet for too long. Our days together became longer. We met in cafes, we walked through the park, and sometimes I went with him to small art markets. He stood with his paintings on the street. People passed by. Some looked, some did not. A few bought a painting. I stood near him, watching, feeling proud of him. He never asked for help, never asked for money. He only wanted me to be there. But soon the whispers around me grew louder. At my work, some people spoke behind my back. They said, "Sophia has lost her mind. She is dating a young man who wants her money." Others laughed and said, "Maybe he is her son's age." I felt hurt. I had no son, but the words still cut deep. When I came home at night, I sometimes sat alone and asked myself, am I foolish? Am I blind? One evening I asked Mark again, "Do you care about what people say?" He looked at me with calm eyes. "No. They do not live our life. They do not feel what we feel. Let them talk. We know the truth." His answer gave me peace for a moment, but the fear inside me was not gone. One night we went to a small restaurant. The light was soft, music was quiet, and the food smelled warm. Mark looked happy. He told me he sold 2 paintings that week. He wanted to save money for better paint and canvas. As he spoke, I looked at his hands. They were strong, but the skin was dry and marked with color. I reached out and touched them. He looked at me and smiled. After dinner, as we walked outside, he stopped under a streetlight. He held my face in his hands. His eyes were full of feeling. Then he kissed me. It was not a quick kiss. It was deep and full of truth. My heart beat fast, but not with fear. For the first time in many years, I felt love again. After that night, our bond grew stronger. We spent more time together. I invited him to my apartment. He looked at the wide windows, the clean white walls, and the quiet space. "It is beautiful," he said, "but it feels empty." His words were true. My home had been empty for years. When he was there, it felt alive. Sometimes I worried about money. I was rich compared to him. I had a good job, a car, and savings. He lived in a small room and ate cheap meals. I wanted to help him, but I feared he would feel weak if I offered. One evening, I said gently, "Mark, let me give you some money for paint." He shook his head fast. "No, Sophia. Please. I do not want your money. I want your time." I felt ashamed. I thought he might be angry. But then he took my hand and said softly, "If one day I need help, I will ask. But right now, I need to stand on my own." His pride made me respect him even more. Weeks turned into months. We grew close. We laughed more, shared small secrets, and made plans to visit the sea. But life was not easy. People kept talking. One afternoon, I met an old friend at a cafe. She looked at me and said, "Sophia, why do you waste your time on this young man? He will leave you one day. He wants your money, not your love." Her words hurt me. I went home with a heavy heart. That evening, Mark came to see me. He noticed my face. "What is wrong?" he asked. I told him what my friend said. He stayed quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Sophia, if you believe her, I will walk away. But if you believe me, stay by my side. Do not stand in the middle." I felt tears in my eyes. I knew he was right. I had to choose. I whispered, "I believe you, Mark." He hugged me tightly, and I felt safe again. One winter night, as the city lights shone outside, he surprised me. He pulled something from his pocket. It was not a diamond. It was not gold. It was a small silver ring, simple and plain. He looked at me and said, "Sophia, I love you. Will you marry me?" I was silent. My heart raced. He was young, poor, and people already judged us. But his eyes were true. He wanted me, not my money. Slowly, I said, "Yes." His face filled with joy. He kissed me again, and I felt tears fall. We married in a small church outside the city. There were no big parties, no rich guests. Only a few close friends came. I wore a simple white dress. He wore a black suit, not new but clean. We held hands and promised love. When we walked out of the church, the sky was blue and the sun was warm. For a time, life felt perfect. We moved to a small house near the edge of Madrid. It was not big, but it was ours. He painted in one room. I worked on my designs in another. In the evening, we sat together, ate simple meals, and talked about our dreams. But soon, shadows returned. Mark often used his phone in secret. He whispered into it late at night. When I asked, he said, "It is nothing, just an old friend." But his face looked worried. One afternoon, I followed him outside. I saw him with a young woman. She touched his arm. She smiled at him. My heart felt cold. I turned away quickly. That night, I could not sleep. I asked myself again and again, did I make a mistake? Did people warn me for a reason? Does he really love me? Or was I blind? The next evening, I asked him, who was she? He stayed quiet at first. Then he said, "Sophia, I need to tell you the truth." When Mark said, "I need to tell you the truth," my body felt weak. My heart was afraid, but I waited. He sat down on the sofa. His hands shook. His eyes looked tired. "Her name is Elena," he began. "She was my girlfriend before I met you. We broke up, but she came back. She wants money. She said she will tell lies about us if I do not give her money. She said she will tell the world I married you only for your money." I sat still. His words cut deep. "And is that true?" I asked. My voice was quiet, but sharp. He looked straight into my eyes. "No, Sophia. I love you. You know me. You know I never asked for money. But Elena does not care. She only wants to hurt me. And now she wants to hurt us." I turned my head away. My thoughts were heavy. For years, I built my life. I worked hard, step by step. I gave everything for my career. And now, with him, I opened my heart again. But what if he was lying? What if the people were right? "Why did you not tell me before?" I asked. He put his head in his hands. "I was afraid. I did not want to lose you. I thought I could solve it myself. But I cannot. I need you to know the truth." For a moment, I wanted to stand up and walk away. But then I looked at him again. His eyes had no lies. His voice was low, but true. I saw fear, but not greed. "What do you want me to do?" I asked. He whispered, "I do not want your money. I only want your trust. I will face Elena myself." The next week, Elena came to our small house. I was there. She was young, beautiful, and full of anger. She looked at me with cold eyes. Do you really believe him? She asked. He was mine before he was yours. He only wants what you can give. I wanted to answer with anger, but I stayed calm. If he wanted money, he would already have it. But he chose to work. He chose to stay poor. He chose me, not my bank. Her face turned red. She shouted at Mark. If you do not pay me, I will show pictures. I will tell stories. I will make your life shameful. Mark stood tall. Do what you want, he said. I will not give you money. I will not let you control us. His voice was strong, louder than I had ever heard. Elena looked at him, shocked. She wanted power, but he did not bend. Finally, she turned around and left. The sound of the door closing was sharp. The silence after was heavy. I sat down slowly. My body shook. He came close to me. I am sorry, Sophia. I should have told you before. He touched my hand. I pulled it back at first, but then I looked at him. His face was full of pain, but also truth. I felt my anger melt a little. That night, I did not sleep. I thought about everything. The whispers, the people, my friend's warning, Elena's words. Then I thought about Mark, his laugh, his art, his simple meals, his strong hands. I thought about the way he never asked for more than time. In the morning, I sat by the window. The sun rose slowly. He came to me, quiet. He said, If you cannot trust me, I will leave. I do not want you to live in fear because of me. I love you too much. For that, my eyes filled with tears. He was ready to walk away, even though it broke him. And that was when I knew he loved me. Not my clothes, not my car, not my work. Me. I stood up. I went to him. I took his hands. Mark, I said, I believe you, but I am still afraid. He nodded. I know, but we will fight the fear together. From that day, we did not speak of Elena again. Weeks passed. She never returned. The whispers from people never stopped, but I learned to ignore them. When people stared at us in the street, I held his hand tighter. When people spoke behind my back, I smiled more. Mark continued to paint. His art grew better and brighter. One day, a gallery owner came to see his work. He liked what he saw. He offered Mark a small exhibition in the city. It was not a big show, but it was real. On the night of the exhibition, the gallery was full of people. They walked slowly from one painting to another. They spoke softly about colors and faces. I stood in the corner, watching. Mark stood by his work, talking to people with a calm smile. He looked proud, but not proud of himself only. Proud of the journey, proud of the chance. When he came to me, his face was shining. Sophia, they like my work, he said. They really like it. I hugged him, even with people around us. I whispered, I told you. You are more than what they say. That night, as we walked home, I looked at him and thought about our story. He was young, poor, and full of dreams. I was older, rich, and tired of being alone. We came from two different worlds, but together we built a new one. Months later, we moved again. Not far, but to a small village near the sea. The house was simple, with white walls and blue windows. From the balcony, we could see the water. Every evening we sat outside. He painted while I worked on my new designs. Sometimes we drank wine. Sometimes we ate bread and cheese. Life was quiet, but full. People still whispered. They still judged. Some said, "It will not last." Others said, "She bought him with her money." But their words did not matter anymore. One evening, as the sun fell into the sea, he came to me with a soft smile. "Sophia," he said, "do you know what you gave me?" I laughed a little. "A roof, a ring, and food." He shook his head. "No, you gave me belief. You believed in me when no one else did. You saw my art. You saw my dream. And you made me strong." I touched his face. "And you gave me love. You gave me laughter. You gave me back my heart." We stayed there, silent, looking at the sky. The sea moved slowly, and the stars began to appear. I thought back to my life before him. Big shows, big houses, long nights alone. Success with no smile. Now, with him, I had less money but more joy. I had fewer parties but more peace. I had whispers around me, but truth beside me. People said love should follow rules. Love should be between the same age, the same class, the same world. But love does not listen to people. Love has its own rules. And sometimes love comes when you stop waiting. This is my story. I was 47 when I met Mark, a young painter with nothing but dreams. Together we faced judgment, lies, and fear. But we also found truth, trust, and light. So I ask you, if you were in my place, what would you do? Would you choose fear, or would you choose love?